Harry had always thought of night shifts as the kind of work that either hardened you or hollowed you out. He wasn't sure yet which camp he fell into. When the agency called to offer him a temporary assignment as a security guard at an abandoned shopping mall, the paycheck was just enough to make him say yes without hesitation. It was supposed to be easy money. 8 hours a night, 5 nights a week, patrolling a building no one cared about anymore. The mall had once been the heart of the small town that sat on the edge of the city. But over the years, it had fallen victim to the same quiet rot that claimed so many places like it. Stores closing one by one, food courts emptying out, escalators breaking down and never being repaired. Now, only a few metal skeletons of old kiosks remained, and the air smelled faintly of mildew and stale air conditioning that hadn't run in months. The first night felt almost too easy. Harry parked his car by the loading dock, grabbed the set of jangling keys they'd given him, and did his initial sweep with a flashlight. His footsteps echoed endlessly through the atrium. There were no signs of squatters, no teenagers looking for a thrill, no evidence of anything alive. Just the hollow sound of his own presence, magnified 100-fold by the vast emptiness. By the second night, Harry started to notice the silence in ways that felt unnatural. It wasn't just the absence of people. It was the way the air seemed to swallow up every noise. Even the buzzing of his flashlight seemed muted. When he closed a door, the sound didn't travel. It just stopped, like a stone vanishing into deep water. He found himself talking aloud occasionally, muttering things like "all clear" or "nothing here," just to hear a human voice. By the fourth night, the silence began to feel oppressive, as if it were pressing against his eardrums. During his patrol, he swore he saw a chair that had been pushed against a wall, now standing in the middle of a corridor. He chalked it up to forgetfulness. Maybe he'd just missed it the first time. But he felt the first pricklings of unease. The security office was tucked behind what had once been a nail salon, a cramped room lined with dusty filing cabinets and a wall of old surveillance monitors. Only half of the cameras still worked. Grainy black and white feeds displayed endless empty hallways, a food court with overturned tables, and an escalator frozen mid-step like a fossilized creature. Harry found himself staring at the screens more than he liked, waiting for movement that never came. On the sixth night, a door he had locked during his first round stood ajar when he came back. He distinctly remembered turning the key and testing the handle. Now it yawned open like a mouth. He told himself the lock must have failed. The whole building was falling apart after all. But a thread of dread wound itself around his chest. A week into the job, Harry dug through the old files stored in the security office. He found incident reports dating back over a decade. Shoplifting, petty vandalism, a couple of small fires. But one thin folder, stamped with the word "unresolved," caught his eye. Inside were police reports about a group of teenagers who had broken into the mall after closing and never come out. Their cars had been found in the parking lot, their belongings untouched. No bodies, no suspects, no closure. Harry sat in the empty office for a long time, staring at the file, trying to decide whether it made him feel better or worse that the building had a history of swallowing people. That night, he dreamt of running through endless hallways, the air so thick with silence that it felt like trying to swim through concrete. He woke up with a pounding heart and an unshakable sense of dread. By the 10th night, Harry's nerves were raw. He began to feel watched, though he knew there was no one else there. The sensation would come in waves, sometimes while walking through the gutted food court, other times while staring at the flickering surveillance monitors. He told himself it was all in his head, a side effect of too many long, lonely hours. On the 12th night, as he scanned the monitors, Harry saw something that froze him in place. One of the cameras, fixed on a hallway near the east entrance, showed a figure standing under the harsh glow of a ceiling light. Even through the grainy feed, he could see that it was unmistakably him. His uniform, his posture, even the set of his shoulders. But Harry was in the security office. His throat went dry. He switched to the next camera. Empty hallway, back to the first. Still there, standing perfectly still. His doppelganger staring directly at the camera. Harry shoved his chair back so hard it toppled over. His pulse hammered in his ears. He had to know. He grabbed his flashlight and sprinted through the corridors, his own footsteps crashing like gunshots in the suffocating silence. When he reached the east entrance, the hallway was empty. No one there. Back in the security office, the monitors displayed only static where the figure had been. That was the first night Harry truly considered quitting. He told himself it had been some kind of technical glitch, maybe even a stress-induced hallucination. But when morning came, he signed out his shift as usual, feeling like he was leaving part of himself behind in the mall. The following nights blurred together in a haze of sleeplessness and mounting paranoia. Harry stopped checking his phone during breaks because the sound of his own recorded voice in the voicemails he left for friends unsettled him. He began to dread the moment his shoes met the tiled floor of the mall. The way the echoes of his own movements seemed louder, closer, and not entirely synchronized. On what would be his final night, Harry decided to document everything. He clipped his phone to his uniform and set it to record. If something happened, at least there would be proof. As he made his rounds, the building felt different, denser, like the air itself had weight. Every corner revealed another stretch of empty hallway, another glass storefront coated in grime. He could feel his heart racing, though nothing moved, nothing stirred. By the time he reached the sub-basement, Harry was trembling. The air was damp and smelled of rust. He spoke into the phone's microphone, his voice breaking the crushing silence. Just finishing the last sweep. Nothing unusual so far, except the feeling that I'm not alone. A metallic clang echoed down the corridor behind him. Harry swung around, light slicing through the darkness, but the hallway was empty. The sense of being watched intensified, crawling over his skin like static. He stumbled backward, fumbling for the door. "I'm leaving," he said into the recorder, breath hitching. "I don't care anymore. I'm leaving." The phone's recording ends abruptly there. Harry turned in his keys the next morning without explanation. The supervisor barely glanced at him. Temporary guards came and went all the time. 2 weeks later, Harry started a new job at a different site, another forgotten building with more cameras than people. On his first night patrol, the sound of his own footsteps echoed back at him, unnervingly loud in the empty corridors. He paused, listening. Somewhere behind the echoes, faint but undeniable, another set of steps followed in perfect unison.